Don't feel like you have enough time to read. I got your back. I don't feel like you have enough time to read. I got your back. Don't feel like
brother, this guy stinks!
Don't feel like you have enough time to read. I've got your back. Yeah. So lately, I've been feeling like I can't read 300, 400, 500, 600 page books. And if you also feel that way, I've got your back. Yeah. Today, I have a list of 5 books that are no longer than 300 pages max, that you can definitely read in one sitting, that are good enough to get you back out there, to get you looking for longer books, looking for more interesting stories, to get you back on the road again. As you can tell, it's almost past my bedtime. Oh, also, I cut my hair 2 inches, so now I got a bowl cut. Oh my gosh, okay. So as you guys know, it's fall, right? But out in the distance, you see, it's almost Mariah Carey time. So what do? You gotta prepare, and I've got your back. This is the perfect short book that will get you right into the holiday spirit. I'm gonna let you know what it is. It is The Holiday Switch. That book, I'm telling you, I read it last year, and once I finished it last year, I was like, oh, I'm feeling jolly. Yeah, my heart has grown 3 times its size. I am ready for the holiday shenanigans. Give me the holiday shenanigans. And if you want that feeling, I've got your back. No problem. No problemo. Now, The Holiday Switch follows Leela Santos. She's currently on her winter break from high school, and this is her last winter break. She's preparing for college. She's super excited, and she loves everything Christmas. And she so happens to live in a Christmas-based town, Holly, New York. And in this town, they based a really famous movie on that town. So the whole town kind of revolves around this movie. It's kind of kitschy and stuff, but she loves it. And during this holiday break, she decides to work at an inn to make a little bit more money to prepare for college. And while she's there, her boss's annoying nephew decides to work there as well. And from there, they kind of butt heads. However, when they switch phones by accident, they kind of realize that they have a little bit more in common, and they're hiding a little bit more than they realize. And then from there, you just see them kind of fall for each other. And it is such a beautiful story. I remember giggling so much in this book last year when I read it. And the thing is, there's absolutely no spice. The spice could not be found in this book whatsoever. It's very YA. It's so cute, but the banter, the back and forth, the growing emotions really has you fully in the story. And not only that, me personally, I love cheesy Christmas. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. I feel like if there's any time to be cheesy and cliche, it is during Christmas time. And I feel like this book was literally written like a Hallmark movie, and I just couldn't ask for anything more. The banter was really good. There was Christmas-based jokes, and y'all know I love dad jokes, and it was just so good. The storyline was so good, and it was quick and easy. I definitely read it in one day, and I think you can too, and it's really enjoyable. Then I would recommend The Convenience Store Woman. This book is completely different from The Holiday Switch, in everything, but the reason why I'm recommending this one is because it gave me such an interesting view of society and conformity and things like that. Now, this book was written by a Japanese author talking about the workforce in Japan and the work culture there, and it's about this girl. Her name is Keiko, and she started working at a convenience store when she was 18 years old, and then from there she never really grew. She just stayed there throughout most of her adulthood until her family starts pressuring her to find a husband, to do something else, to put yourself out there and things like that. She didn't really have much of a personality beforehand, but she had a routine. She stuck to her routine, and she seemed genuinely happy with what she had going on. But her family and everyone else was pressuring her so much to change that she finally took drastic measures. And then from there, you kind of see her life spiral when she's trying to conform to society. So it's an interesting take on being yourself, whether you fit in or not, and what it takes to be like everybody else, and is it worth being like everybody else. And it was just very interesting. It's not like any other book I've ever read before. Now, this is a theme and topic she likes to write about a lot, actually. She also wrote Earthlings, and that book talks about this as well, but it also goes downhill in some crazy manic fever dream type of way. That story is completely insane, honestly. I enjoyed it at certain parts of the book, but a lot's going on in that book. It's completely different from this as well. But I'm recommending Convenience Store Woman out of those two, just because at the end of it, it leaves you thinking, is it really that important to me to conform to everyone else? How important is my individuality? How important is it for me to make other people in my life happy and things like that? And just because after reading the book, you're left with so many questions, I definitely think it's something that maybe everyone should read, and it's very quick as well. Now, I will say it's not going to be a 4 or 5 5-star unless it is for you. Me personally, it wasn't, but it was enough to where I was thinking about the book after, and I would recommend it just as a thought piece for other people as well. Next up is Lord of the Flies. Now, this is a classic book, and I know I've recommended this book a few times, but I don't know what it is. It's just something about that book left me so awestruck. Like, not necessarily in a good way, because it was kind of a eerie book, but it just left me thinking so much. And it's something that you can definitely read in one sitting. It's only 182 pages, but it was really, really good to me. So profound, I think is the right word. And this book, if you're not familiar with the story, is about these young kids who were in a plane crash and they get stuck on this deserted island. And they go from proper young boys to basically animals because they're trying to survive in this place. They don't really have any parental guidance, any authority figure, and they kind of just do what they want. And some of the kids, they want to stick to the societal structures that we're used to, and others are willing and accepting to accept the fate that they've been given and just be wild and animalistic. And it kind of just shows you a fine line between humanity and regular animals. And I don't know why, but that really messed with my head, like so much. And the story is really well written. You get different perspectives from the other children. You get to see how the other children affect some of the other children and how that could be applicable in just regular society no matter when it was written. And I don't know, stuff like that really makes me think. And it kind of scares you to think that we're not too far off from going off that way. So like if anything ever happened in life where maybe we don't have electricity or power anymore, we could easily be like these children. And stuff like that really keeps me up at night, but also makes me think. So if you want something that's going to be thought-provoking and really make you wonder about society as a whole, this is another really good book. I honestly prefer this one over The Convenience Store Woman, but it's just a different take of looking at society. But if you're not looking for something that's going to like make you think about society in an eerily way, don't worry, I have another recommendation. It is Shop Girl. This is a book by Steve Martin. He's an actor. I recently talked about this when I did my 7 books in 7 days video. I don't think it's necessarily profound, but I enjoyed myself. I felt like it reminded me a lot of Normal People, which is funny because I did not like Normal People by Sally Rooney whatsoever. I don't know why, and I'm interested to see if maybe I reread that book, maybe I'll feel different about it. But I just thought that Sally Rooney's Normal People was just so mundane. It had no purpose. I didn't really understand why I was reading it, and nothing changed. Like the beginning was the same as the end type of thing. And I know a lot of people enjoy that book, but I also think it's one of those polarizing books where it's like either everyone loves it or everyone hates it. You're either on this side or that side. And I unfortunately was on this side. But it's interesting because with Shop Girl, it's very reminiscent to Normal People, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Now, I did give it 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't profound. It didn't change my life or anything like that, but I had a good time reading it. And I think that's all I can really ask for. Now, Shop Girl kind of follows Mirabelle. She is a lonely and depressed 20-something working in Neiman Marcus, and she doesn't really know what she's doing with her life. She doesn't really know what she wants, but she's trying to enjoy herself all the same. And then enters a few love interests. So on one hand, she's trying to date an older millionaire, and then on another, she is kind of interested or attracted to a younger, kind of poor, not really looking for anything guy. And through these relationships, not only is she trying to find love with someone else, but she's also trying to find love within herself because she's not really happy with herself and where her life is going, and she kind of projects that on the people around her. And from there, you kind of just follow her life, her mundane life. Nothing really happens in the story. There's nothing profound or life-changing or a plot or anything like that, but you just follow her life, and for some reason, it was enjoyable. Maybe it's because I am a 20-something trying to figure my life out. Now, I'm not dating multiple people or anything like that. If I'm being honest, we ain't dating anybody right now. But that's a conversation for my therapist. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. So the story's not really about anything, but I just enjoyed hearing her life story and hearing the other people's perspectives, because while you're also listening to her thoughts, you also get to hear the thoughts of the other characters, like the millionaire. I really liked hearing his perspective and how he looked at his relationship with her and how she looked at his relationship with him. And I just thought it was very interesting because they weren't on the same page most of the time. And I thought that seeing one instance and one scene from both of their perspectives perspectives really gave me kind of insight in how society is or how people are in general, because on one end you're living your truth here, and then on another end someone else can be living a completely other reality while you guys are both talking about the same situation. So that's just really interesting for me, and I feel like Steve Martin explained that and showed that so well in this book. I thought it was really observative. I thought it was very relatable and things like that. I thought it was just an enjoyable book. So if you're looking for something short and sweet, it doesn't really change your life but get you through a book, Shop Girl is definitely for you. Now, I left this book in particular last because I always talk about it anytime I talk about a short, really good book, and that is because it is just this good. It is worth the hype. I really enjoyed it when I read it, and this is the shortest out of all the recommendations, and also one of the ones where I definitely think you should read it. I don't know, I feel like it's one of those books where anyone can read it and maybe take another perspective, another outlook from the book than I would have thought otherwise. And it's just so cool. It's just so cool. I really enjoyed reading it. And that book is The Yellow Wallpaper. I know you're so sick of me talking about it. I don't know. A good book is a good book. And I had to recommend it here because I definitely think more people should read it. Now, not to say that it's not popular. It's very popular, but I just think more people should have access to it or hear more about it because it just was so interesting when I read it. Now, on paper, The Yellow Wallpaper is just about this woman who is kind of going through postpartum depression, and she's married to a doctor, and her doctor is a man in this time where women didn't have a voice, and if they did have a voice that was maybe different from a man's perspective, they were considered hysterical and wasn't really taken seriously. So during this time, she's kind of living in that type of world, and her husband's like, you know what, I know best. Let me take you to this other house here for the summer just for you to get your bearings and get better. I don't think you should talk to anybody. I don't think that you should have any hobbies. You should be completely isolated in this house, because when someone's not mentally well, the best course of action is to isolate them, make sure that they can't talk to anyone, and put them in a room that they don't want to stay in this house. And that's exactly what her husband does. And he puts her in this room that has this really old, ugly wallpaper. And as she's going through this postpartum depression, she kind of starts to slowly lose her mind, and she thinks that she sees things in the wallpaper, and you read her experience through her journal entries, and it's just so interesting. I really enjoyed this book. It was so eerie and scary and just so many things. I really thought so many things while reading it, and I can't even put it into words. It was just so odd, but also like infuriating, because this woman is trying to tell her husband over and over again. At one point, she has to get to the point where she is working up the courage to tell her husband how she feels, and he completely shuts her down. Can you imagine sleeping next to this man who's supposed to be the one who protects you from everything, who is supposed to be your partner, your equal, and you're trying to explain to him that you're genuinely not feeling well, and he's gaslighting you, telling you that, no, it's all in your head? And he's a doctor. That's the cherry on top. I think that's what gets me. And I just think it's so interesting that women really had to live that way. And I think it's even more interesting that, yes, it's gotten better since that time, but we still know what that feels like. We still have instances where that happens today. And that is just the most baffling part of all. I have some other short books, but it would be way too long for this video. If you have any short book recommendations, just to get people started up with reading again, or don't feel so intimidated to read such a large book, please leave them in the comments below, not only for other people, but for me too, because I'm always looking for something new to read. All right, that is it from me. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Stiff wear, stiff wear. I really do like this bowl cut. It's so cute, I think. We're gonna try to get my hair like waist length next year. Just you wait, buddy. Let me take my vitamins and keep cutting my ends. That's my problem. I never cut my ends. I really should. I'm gonna start doing that. After this big old chop, we're gonna do this again in 3 months, I think. Not a big chop, just a regular chop. A trim, so to say. All right, love you. Bye.